Man City play some scintillating football without the use of a traditional striker. Can we replicate it in FM22? Let's give it a go. Hi there folks, hope you're well. So today we're going to try and get under the mind of Pep Guardiola and his false nine tactic he's using with Man City. Now I have watched every game of Man City's this season being a fan, so I think I've got this locked down, but it's going to take a lot of work. Let's get to it. Before we get to it, as always, if you do enjoy the content, please let me know. Drop a sub to the channel. We're building slowly. Let's see where we can get to, but without any further ado, let's try and recreate this Pep false nine. So a little bit about today's structure. So we're starting from scratch here with Man City, so I can show you how I built the tactic. I've been playing the tactic, I've played about 30 games or so I know it's working quite well. I'm just going to flip-flop between the two. First up, look at those kits. I've added those kits in, they're all beautiful apart from Man City's third kit, which is an abomination. But if you want to know how to add kits to your game, there's loads of guys doing that, so have a little look around on YouTube. So, the first thing I did when I first got the squad was I knew that I wanted Phil Foden as the false nine, because that's pretty much where he's played most of the season. So I went straight to Phil. Let's find him. There's Phil. And you can see at the minute, he doesn't have the capability, according to the game, to play in the striker position. So I went straight to his development and his training, and I started to train him as a false nine. Now this was a bit of a challenge, because what I would like to have done is do it right through pre-season, but because this is on the back of the Euros, you can see his holiday didn't return to the 8th of August, so he only started learning it from then. So the initial points of the season, he didn't really fire. He's starting to fire now after 20-30 games, but initially it was a bit of a struggle, but we've got him there. Here's Phil Foden in my game at the minute. You can see in his position there, he can now play in that false nine role thanks to the training. Now, ongoing training, you can see position is striker. And he started to fire slowly. He had a slow start, but in the Premier League now he scored 10 in 24. 12 overall from 33 games, so that's worked. That's the first thing I did. I wanted to do a similar thing with Cancelo. The game recognises him that he can play both sides, but more predominantly on the right hand side, so I wanted to train him in that left spot as an inverted wing back. So that's what we did with João Cancelo. João, you get the gist. From there, it's time to build the tactic, and it took a few goes. Now last season in FM21 I had a go at the Man City replication and I went with a 4-3-3, which isn't far off the mark, but as I said, I've been watching every game that City have played this season, and the starting positions for a few players, noticeably the wing backs, are a little higher up, so that's what I thought. So from scratch I used the 4-3-3 template, but as I said, I think the wing backs are more aggressive this season. So what we did was, my starting positions for both wing backs were there. They're still wing backs, they're still there to help out the defenders, but that's where I believe that they're playing this season. So on the left, I had an inverted wing back with João Cancelo, and he's going to be in these areas quite often, but still going out wide, but mostly in these central areas. On the other side, Kyle Walker, not a traditional wing back, because he too does drift down into the middle quite often, but more often than not, he's going up and down. So to me, I'm going to use him as a complete wing back because they have the tendency to roam as well as get down the side. I should add at this point, there's no simming taking place. I am playing through this season as we go because it enabled me to make the tweaks that I needed to get the team working like I wanted them to. Now we go to the game where I'm playing through, and Cancelo is doing pretty damn well. If we go to his player reports here, his player performance, and we'll go with creativity first, there you can see performing well above average in every area for the creative role. Key passes, higher compared to the average. Now this will lead to him losing possession a little bit more because he takes more risks, but 1.52 key passes per 90 minutes from your inverted wing back on support is nice. I like it. Over to Kyle Walker now. Again, very similar player performance. We've got his crossing because he's doing a bit more of that than Cancelo is, and you can see high number of crosses attempted because he's getting down that flank quite a lot. Completes fewer crosses than average, so he's attempting more, but he's not completing as many because he's so aggressive. Again, to his creativity, performing above average in every area in key statistics, produces a high number of key passes, so he's doing 2 key passes per 90 minutes, which is great from your wing back. And again, he loses a bit of possession because he's trying more adventurous through balls. So at this point, we've got our wing backs sorted. Inverted wing back on the left in Cancelo, complete wing back on the right in Walker. Now it goes without saying that my keeper is going to be a sweeper keeper on attack, because we're talking about Ederson, the man who's better outfield than most outfield players. So Ederson is going to be my sweeper keeper on attack without a shadow of a doubt. In front of him, 2 centre backs. I'm toying with having one as a ball playing defender because they do have loads of time on the ball, but Most of the time the play is shorter unless John Stones is playing. He likes to ping it, as does Laporte. In fact, I think I've just convinced myself that one of them is going to be the ball playing defender and Ruben Dias is just going to be the smash mouth defender. As we build this, it kind of goes against some of my philosophies on playmakers and ball playing defenders, but because it's a replication I'm attempting, I'm going to go with it anyway. The midfield three now. We're moving on to the midfield three, and this is where this gets a little bit funky, because when you watch City, all of them are great on the ball, all of them are initiating movements, even the defensive midfielder Rodri, who's had a great season, and that's where we'll start. Rodri's going to be the first of the few creative roles. Obviously he's got more of a defensive responsibility, but he's still a ball player. I'm going to slot him in there as a deep line playmaker, just on line, a starting position with the wing backs, sitting in front of the two defenders. When you watch City, these defenders are way up the park, so as a deep line playmaker, he's just a little bit less advanced than the guys in front of him. Very important role, but it's by no means an anchor man or just a ball winning midfielder. He definitely plays a bit of ball as well, so he's going to be the first, keyword there, first of the playmakers. In front of him, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So we've got the two roles there. This season it's largely been De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, with Gundogan having a more of a bit part than last season. Now I'm going to earmark this one as Bernardo Silva. Now if you watch Bernardo Silva in game, he is not stuck to this role. Oh my days, he gets everywhere. He is literally all over the place. And for me, it's a role I don't use a lot of, but I'm going to experiment more in FM22. Bernardo Silva is just oozing roaming playmaker, because he just goes everywhere, picks the ball up, starts moves off. He is the epitome to me of a roaming playmaker. You can see something a little bit different happening here. We've got a deep line playmaker in Rodri, and we've got in front of him a roaming playmaker in Bernardo Silva. Next to Bernardo Silva, I've slotted in KDB as a Mezzala on attack, because he is the ultimate Mezzala on attack. He's going to pick the ball up, get into these areas, whip it from there, roam about. It's just wonderful. You press on him there you can see he's got roam from position, just like Bernardo Silva's got roam position, just like Kyle Walker's got roam from position, and just like Cancelo's got roam from position. This is going to lead to some crazy fluid football. At this point I'd like to focus on KDB, because there's his attributes. I mean, they are just ridiculous, right? Even the game recognises as a Mezzala attack as his pinnacle role. Dribbling, crossing, passing, insane. Now as far as the way he's worked out in the game I've been playing through, these stats need to be looked at. Here we are in February with De Bruyne, and then the thing that sticks out straight away, right, is his goals. 25 goals in 34 games, 10 assists. I mean, ridiculous. We'll look a bit closer on his play performance. We start with shooting for midfielders. There you can see him right literally at Everest, above absolutely everybody. His shooting stats differ considerably. Hits the target high number of shots, produces a high number of XG per shot. He's just destroying it. Moving on to his scoring, again in the league, he's on another stratosphere. He's just destroying the Premier League. Bernardo Silva, by the way, 11 goals, 8 assists, 28 games. His average rating, what you can't see because of my fat head, there it is, 7.34. Again, kind of relative to real life, because I'm in a storming season in real life. Brilliant. Now it's time for the front three. The players involved in this are going to be Grealish on one side, Foden as the false nine, and on the right it's going to be Gabriel Jesus, who may well rotate quite often with Mahrez and Raheem Sterling. So Jackie Boy Grealish on the left, and this is going to lead to a role that not many people use in this advanced role, but for me he's unbelievably, without doubt, an advanced playmaker on attack, meaning he can go pretty much anywhere in these areas, float around. Have you guessed the theme yet? We are roaming all over the place. Grealish as an AP on attack means we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players roaming. Your AP will run at the defence, which is what Jack does. Drops into these gaps here, drops deep to get the ball, commits players, goes for through balls. It's got Grealish written all over it. On the other side, on the right, is a new role for Gabriel Jesus, but one he actually plays quite often for Brazil. And it is basically a winger. He does predominantly most of his work in these areas. He is allowed to cut inside a bit, which means I'm going to add the player instruction of roam from position. Yes, another. That's 6 if you keep in count. So Jesus as a winger, largely down for his work rate as well, because he's going to get up and down and cover, because there is 6 or so players that are on attacking here. So Jesus is used as a grafter in them positions to get into the box as well, to get on the end of balls from Grealish and Cancelo and all the other boys. Jesus slots in there as a winger on support. Obviously with the training at the start, Phil Foden obviously slots into that false 9 position. So now we've got our 11 and our roles kind of locked down. Or have we? At the start of the season, I did get it slightly wrong. I was still experimenting, and as I said, most of the players were on holiday because of the various international tournaments, so they didn't really set the world alight to a degree. I started using Gabriel Jesus as more of an inside forward or inverted winger on this side, and it didn't really work, and you can see that by our first game of the season against Norwich. We managed to lose our first game in our brand spanking new formation, 1-0 to Norwich. I mean, we turned it around then, the reverse fixture, but it just showed me I didn't quite get it right. In the role I'm asking Jesus to play, once I got him in the right role, that is, the winger support, his pressing and his defensive responsibility was huge, as it is in real life, and his pressing stats are really good, performing above average in every area and key stats for his defensive role. In terms of high number of tackles per 90, he's putting the pressure on the defence, which is what I wanted from that role. Roles are fixed, the players I want to play in there are fixed, as similar to Pep as I can. Now to try and replicate the team instructions, we go with a positive mentality, because that's the way City play, trying to get everybody involved in the game. Obviously, in possession, here we go. So, shorter passing, without doubt. Tempo can flip with City, they can either go low or high, so we keep it at standard and change as we need to. Attacking width is wide, they like to stretch the game, asking both Grealish and Jesus to stay wide, and you can even see that in the play instructions that we've got on Grealish with a stay wider. Work ball into the box. Sometimes City should shoot when they don't, but they just work the ball into the box and pass and pass and pass. Obviously they're being more expressive as well. As we move on to in transition, the counter press is always on with City. Not necessarily countering straight away, they do when they have the opportunity, but not all the time. They'll prefer a patient approach. And then Ederson gets the ball, he does look to distribute the ball quickly. Notice that I don't tell him where to do it at, because Ederson's got the vision and the capabilities to choose for himself. As his attributes show down there, the passing of 18, the vision of 17. For me, you're better off letting a keeper who's that good in distribution find his own way. Out of possession, super aggressive, high defensive line, much higher line of engagement, not letting the opposition get out at all, with a trigger press of much more often. Now, if you've seen my video I did about pressing, you'll know that you can't maintain that sort of press for a full 90 minutes. So I do have a second version of the tactic that I'll be using that just asks them to back off a bit. That's another reason why I didn't want to sim the season, because I can pick and choose the moments I want the team to back off, whereas if I'm simming, they're just going to use the one tactic. There is the second version. The roles are all the same, the positions are the same, the only thing different is the team instructions. You can see they're a lot different. We're playing out defence, the shorter passing, the tempos drop down to lower, we sometimes time waste. In transition, instead of distributing quickly, we slow the pace down. And there's a few different things in that out of possession. The trigger press is down to slightly more often, and the line of engagement drops back a little bit. And that's the tactic. I'll quickly go through the player instructions and then we'll have a look to see how it fared in the various competitions so far this season. Starting at the back, there's no different PIs added to either centre half. Your inverted wing back, none added. Same with your complete wing back and your deep line playmaker. Your roaming playmaker is asked to cross less often, and dribble more, because I want to take advantage of Bernardo Silva's abilities there. De Bruyne has got a load added, more direct passes, cross more often, dribbling more and shoot more often. These are all things that he does in real life. Grealish, again, roam from position and stay wider. Gabriel Jesus, crossing the byline, roaming from position. And Phil Foden, roaming from position. So if you're keeping score, roam from position now has Foden 1, Grealish 2, Gabriel Jesus 3, roaming playmaker 4, Mazzala 5, Cancelo 6, and complete wingback 7. I have 7 players roaming from position, trying to replicate Pep and that total freedom football. So as I say, I've been playing through the tactic. I'm in February now, and I've got to say, the football they've been playing is outrageous. There's been some really good stuff. We'll get through to some examples of that now. As far as league performance goes, it's been pretty spectacular. Remember I said we lost our first game of the season up here completely randomly to Norwich. Then they started hitting the groove. Our only other loss this season was away to Leicester, which wasn't great, but every other game has been pretty spectacular. And down we go. Wins all over the place. 5-goal wins in the Champions League. 5-goal wins in the Premier Leagues. Big away win at Liverpool, which is no mean feat. A 7-0 against Watford. Another 4, another 3 against Liverpool, 5 against Norwich to get revenge, and we're in the final of the Carabao Cup as well. My career stats show you what I was saying about me not simming. We've played 35 full games now, 28 won, 5 drawn and only the 2 defeats. After 26 Premier League games, we've won 20, drawn 4, only the 2 defeats. We have the best defensive record in the league, which is wild considering the formation. Only 16 conceded, and we are also the best strikers in the league as well with 64. Some of the key benchmarks there, think about the run for position and the type of players we have, the likes of Grealish, De Bruyne and Silva. Dribbles per game, we are way clear. We're on an 18 game without a defeat. Goals, we are top of that, like I said. Shots for, 4th in shots for. Expected goals for, we're lying in 3rd. Conceded, sorry, we're 2nd best after Liverpool. Points per game, top. Clean sheets, just after Liverpool as well. Things are going pretty well with this formation. And here's where we sit in all the competitions. Like I said, we are top of the Premier League. We're into the Champions League first knockouts against Juve. Emirates FA Cup, I think that's the 5th round, and we're in the final of the Carabao Cup. Runners up in the Community Shield, which kind of shows where we're at the start of the season when I wasn't quite getting it right. But now, with this tactic, going forward, this is the one we're going with. You'll notice a few new signings in there. We've just got to January, so I've started to build the team a bit more. I've brought in Milinkovic at centre-back and shipped out Nathan Ake, so a bit better there. And I've got a couple of players in as cover for the wing-back positions, which you'll find in formations such as this with the high press. You're going to go through players, they're going to need a bit of a rest. So I had to bring in a bit of backup there in the midfield as well, because your wing backs will be absolutely wasted, as will a lot of your players with this high press action. So I can't recommend enough having a backup tactic like that one, which just backs off a little bit as well. For bigger games, I have adapted it slightly. I've got this one, I've called it v Liverpool because that's literally where I did it, against Liverpool, away from home. We just changed it up a bit, we went to counter-attack rather than counter-press, and we dropped our defensive line a bit, because you've got to be realistic in this game. Liverpool are boost. So we have 3 versions of the tactic, but they're all the same roles, so the players get familiar with it. Only thing you'll see differently is up here, check out the intensity. So there's City working 1, it drops considerably for City rest, and then the 3rd one, again, it's somewhere in between the 2. The squad's taken to it really well. As you can see, Edison there, he's got 19 clean sheets in this formation. Talked about De Bruyne with his 25 goals. Jack Grealish has been ridiculous as well. 9 goals, 11 assists, and he's got an average rating, folks, of 7.49, which is probably the best in the squad. Phil Foden really coming into his own in that false 9 position. He's now got 12 goals, 3 in his last 5, so he's warming to that. So to finish off, a little in-game footage. We're going against Everton straight off the bat. Home game, we're 1st, they're 9th. Hopefully we'll be able to show you what we're up to. Everton with a 3 at the back as well. Kyle Walker down the right. You can see the movement from the players. De Bruyne in that Mazzala roll goes down. Looks like we're going to get an early penalty. 4 minutes gone. VAR checks. Penalty awarded. KDB to add to his 26 goals this season. 25-26. He steps up and smashes it in. 1-0, 5 minutes. Possession stats are a bit off the mark at the minute. There's a few people reporting bugs, but this is why it's a beta. Stats are in our favour, as you can see, and Everton with 3 bookings, and that can come from the dribbling and roaming from position from our players causing havoc. Now this is really interesting. If you look at our average possession with the ball, there it is. So this is our keeper back there. Then you've got centre back 1, centre back 2, and Rodri, and then the rest of them, they're literally everywhere. There's Grealish there, Cancelo, Bernardo Silva. You got Phil Foden acting as more of a focal point, but you're still drifting. You got Mazzala, De Bruyne close to the 2 on the right. It's nice. Without the ball, they drop into a more traditional system, as you can see, but the possession overall is fluid. The stats are so in our favour. Everton yet to have a shot, so this formation really does squash the opposition's threat. As Grealish to Foden to Bernardo, look at the combination play. It's lovely stuff. You'll get that from players like Grealish, Foden, Silva in them triangles, and the same on the other side with De Bruyne, Jesus and Walker. 65 minutes gone. Everton still to register a single shot either on target or off. Here we come again. Cancelo, look how central he is to Rodri. Laporte stepping forward now, back to Cancelo. Ball to De Bruyne. It's lovely to Grealish. Grealish holds onto it, whips it in, and there's De Bruyne. A beautiful fluid goal yet again. We'll check out the replay. There's Cancelo. Look how narrow he is. Inserted in. De Bruyne to Grealish. Grealish holds it up. Dodges Kenny. De Bruyne coming in, and that's why he scored so many goals. That's number 27. It's worth pointing out at this point, you can see our players starting to get tired. So at this point, this is where I would bring in some subs. You can see the boys in midfield, because of the pressing and the roaming, Silva and De Bruyne and Grealish getting a bit tired, so we'll make some changes where we can. Down in the corner, here's Rodri to Fernandinho's just came on, another great save. This performance pretty much summed up the season. They've been superb, dominating the football, making so many chances, and you can see De Bruyne there with an 8.6, just running the show. Full-time whistle goes, Everton hardly had a sniff, 2-0, could have been so many more. Just superb. Great to watch. So that is my City replication. People are going to have different takes on it, of course they are, but that is mine, especially those higher positioned wing-backs and all those players roaming from position. I'm dead proud of the way it's going. Keep an eye on the channel because I might do an update because I'm going to play through for the rest of the season and see if we can win some trophies. Really enjoyed putting that together. I'm enjoying playing it. The movement is insane. Pockets everywhere. Roaming from position. It's lovely. As I say, I have watched City every game this season and that's as close to it as I can get. Other people will have different takes. I'm totally fine with that. That's what Football Manager's all about.